Hey everyone, it's Vanessa. I've got my second patron-sponsored video of the day, and this one comes from Stephen M. And he says, "Hey Bourbon, one thing I'd like to hear your thoughts on is how social media affects mental health. When can it be good? When can it be bad, etc.? I suppose we could just say it's a blessing and a curse, but wondering if you've had your own good social media experience or bad experiences that you might be willing to share." Whew. So I have a really good social media experience that that in the end kind of serves as, I guess, a cautionary tale, if you will. But I'll say this: as someone, I've personally recently decided to walk away from Facebook. This has made it very difficult for me to continue volunteering with the Walkaway campaign. I was serving as a moderator over on the Facebook group, and to an extent I still do. I'll still go on. I still have my Facebook page, but I don't share anything to it. I don't post to it, and I don't interact with anyone other than in the Walkaway group. But I still, even in that limited capacity, I still find the atmosphere there not only to be toxic, but to be incredibly misleading. It's, Facebook in particular, for me, has a real issue with manipulated videos, manipulated content, the misrepresented trending stories that we know aren't actually what's trending. There's just, and then on top of that, the data breaches. And I would also suggest that people look into the founding of Facebook and how it started. As many people have advised, it's sort of pointless at this point. If you have a Facebook account, it's pointless to delete it. Your information's out there, your data's out there. So really it's a placeholder now, just directing people to go to different sites because I'm not on Facebook. But I'm still on Twitter. And when Gab comes back, I'll be on Gab, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm here on YouTube, and I'm on Tumblr. So, I'm picking and choosing which platforms I can live without. I made the decision to leave Facebook 2 to 3 weeks ago, and I haven't missed it, so I won't be coming back. I'm still debating on the others. I'm very blessed to have an audience on Twitter. So I'm very reluctant to let that go because it's been such a great opportunity for me, not just to learn from other people, but to also have some really good conversations with people. Even, just today, I've been going on this blitz about people learning the truth about Trump. That I'm urging everyone to walk away from mainstream media. I think if everyone stopped and really educated themselves on him, then they would have a different opinion of him. And I'm not necessarily saying that because I want you to go vote for him. I want you to have an honest opinion of this person. I think the way he's treated in the press is just completely unfair. And I know that I'm going to get pushback from some of you for that, but it is what it is. I still don't call myself a Republican, but I'll be voting for them, and I'm not going to tell you to do that, but I think if you learned a little bit about the Democrats, you probably would. But separate topic. Let's get back to this that I'm deliberately not wanting to talk about. So, good social media experience. As someone with a whole lot of social anxiety and someone who hermits themselves and someone that I don't go out a whole lot in my community. I've said before, the city I live in is a high crime city. It's violent. So anytime we go out, it's not that you're, walking around constantly feeling like a victim all the time, but you do have to keep your wits about you, and you do need to keep an eye out whenever you're out and about. And at home, I have a big brown bat and a big black dog. So this is not, I don't live in the kind of area that I feel comfortable going out whenever I want at any time. And so for me, social media has been very valuable in making friends. And I would say, anyone that struggles with making friends in real life, you've probably made some really good friends on social media. And I personally take offense when people say that the friends that you make on social media aren't as important as the friends that you make in real life. And as an example of that, my best friend for the last 5-6 years, his name was Darius, and we met through we actually met when I was blogging for Huffington Post. And we connected over our love of entertainment and television. And Darius was a very gifted writer, and so I convinced him to come on board on my writing team when I was managing an arts and culture blog. And the two of us made an incredible team. And we worked alongside each other for several years. When the arts and culture blog went bust, we professionally went our separate ways, but we stayed very close friends. We talked almost every day. We texted back and forth. We talked a lot on Facebook, and we would often call each other. We were always making plans to visit. He really wanted Mike and I to come out. He lived in Seattle and Portland. And at the time, it was not the way it is now. Darius was one of the best human beings that I've ever known. And if I weren't open to making friends on social media, I would have never met him. Or I would have never met him because we never got to actually meet. We always said that we were going to make time for each other and that we were going to go and visit each other. And he really wanted to come see DC and see the monuments and see our history. Darius was a Democrat, and but he was the most loving, accepting, open-minded person I've ever known. And every day I try to live by his example. He believed that everyone had the potential to be a friend. He didn't care what your views were. He didn't care what your politics were. All he cared about was, are you good to people? Do you want to be good to people, and do you treat people kindly? That's what was important to him. And if you did those things, then he loved you. And if you didn't do those things, he still loved you, but he would try to convince you to be a better person in his own special way and by living by his own example. When I made the decision to leave crisis counseling and start pursuing becoming a yoga teacher for seniors, he was the first person to support me, and he was the one who decided that I should try doing a GoFundMe. And when I started it, he was the first person to donate. Unfortunately, a month before the training started, Darius passed away in his sleep from an undiagnosed heart condition. We hadn't spoken in a couple of days. He hadn't responded to the text I'd sent, but I really didn't think a whole lot of it because, that was our friendship. We just texted back and forth whenever we thought about it. So I never got my opportunity to meet my best friend. And now, with his absence, I try very hard to live by his example. I don't know if Darius would support that I walked away from Democrats, but I do know that he would support me thinking for myself, and he would support me as long as I'm coming from this place of love and acceptance. And that was the way that he lived his life. And totally, just as a random side note, that even more thanks that I owe to this person. He's the one who came up with my name. Darius and I were really into Mad Men when that was on, and we used to talk about it all the time and write about it. And when I was first starting out in entertainment journalism, he came up with Two Fingers Bourbon. And for us, it wasn't just the nod to Mad Men, but it also was two fingers for peace, and peace and love. And that's what Darius lived his life by: peace and love. And so I just hope, I hope for myself, every time I see that name, every time I see that handle, it reminds me of the person who came up with it, and it reminds me of his own personal mission. So I know I'm going on a lot in this one, but I really felt like this was a good opportunity to talk about the ways that meeting people in social media or on social media, they can have a huge impact on you if you're open to it. And if you're someone like myself who has a hard time making friends, it can be an outlet. But at the same time, it can also be bad. And all of you have seen some of the abuse that I get, thrown my way on social media, and you see the insults and the attacks, and I'm sure that all of you have been victim to the same thing as well. So I personally feel like the friendship and connection benefits far outweigh those bad experiences, but only if you're adult enough and able enough to move past the negativity. And if you can't do that, then social media isn't the place for you. You have to have a thick skin. You have to have a thick skin. You should have an open mind, and hopefully try to keep an open heart. You can end up connecting with people, making friends with people that live thousands of miles away, that you never thought that you'd be able to connect with them. So, social media has been a huge blessing for me, but at the same time, you have to really take it with that grain of salt, and you have to be responsible with it. You shouldn't be on it all day. You should check how often you spend. If your phone doesn't have an app to track that for you, do yourself a favor and track it. Take a time limit of what you're doing. Maybe you need to set yourself some limits if you need to. I told myself I would go on Facebook once a week. I call it Facebook Fridays. And to be honest, just in 3 weeks, I have no desire to even go on my Friday. I get on for 5 minutes. I see a couple posts. I'm like, yep, nope, still made the good choice to leave that one. But so I would just say, and I'll wrap this up because I always go too long, but Darius is worth it. Just be very careful, and be judicious in the opinions and thoughts that you share if you feel like they may have consequences. And it's really sad that I have to warn people of that, but that's something to consider. And I would say don't forget there's other people on the other end of that screen and keyboard. And so those witty little responses that you make, those little cuts, I'm guilty of them as well. And it's not helpful. And I do it myself, and I have to stop. And so I try every day to remember the example that someone like Darius set for me of being a loving person. So I can't tell you whether or not you should stay on it or get off it, but I think that you should do an honest assessment on, is it benefiting your life? To be honest, now that I don't have my best friend there for me to talk to all the time, it's not as necessary for me to keep those pages open. So do your own self-assessment, see what you can get rid of, see what you want to keep. And I would say for any of you that are like me and you happen to make really good friends online, don't wait. Don't keep putting off that visit. If you can afford it, if the person is important to you, go out and see them, because you never know when someday they're just going to be gone. So Stephen, I really hope that sort of helped a little bit. I hope it gave you some of my perspective on social media and the benefits that it can have on helping to foster connections. And I would just say, try to be very aware of what kind of experience you want to have. And, if you start seeing yourself slipping into negative thoughts or negative comments, then just take a break. It's going to be there. It's always going to be there until people figure out that, Twitter and Facebook and all these places are okay, never mind, I won't say it. But just be good to each other, be excellent to each other, and I wish all of you a very safe weekend. And I hope that if you're an undecided voter, that you take the Trump challenge that I posed earlier this week and get off mainstream media. And that might mean getting off social media for a few days too. So, good luck everyone out there. And I should probably have another video up before Tuesday, but I'll certainly have one up after.